Out in the wild frontier of fatherhood, Jeff Hamilton, pastor, coach, and founder of Dad Academy, joins host Terry to share his rugged, no-nonsense blueprint for intentional parenting. Discover his 7-step plan to build legacy, instill courage, and forge resilient families. Ready to step up and lead? Tune in now and ignite your inner dad.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Man Up Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Gwaltney. Today we have Jeff Hamilton from Dad Academy on the show. Jeff's an entrepreneur. He's a husband, senior pastor, corporate trainer, business coach, author, soon to be. I'm sure a whole bunch of other things I don't even know about yet. Jeff, welcome to the Man Up Podcast.
Hey, thanks, Terry. I think the favorite thing that I get to be is a husband and a dad to two great adult kids. My son and his wife are youth pastors up in central Northern California, Santa Cruz. And my daughter is a struggling music artist living in Brooklyn, New York right now. So
Awesome.
I kind of waited to do Dad Academy stuff until I figured out that my kids were able to be functional, healthy adults with minimal therapy before I decided to help coach other guys on how to be a good dad.
Yeah, I understand. The fact that you kept them alive this long, I mean, that's some street cred for a lot of guys listening today. So good job on that.
Thank you, bud.
Yeah, I want to hear all about your ministry. I know you got your hands on a lot of different things, especially when it comes to families. But let's keep on this train right here, and let's get to know you a little bit better. So obviously you're married. You have 2 kids. They're grown.
Yes, sir.
How long you been married?
Been married a little over 32 years, and been able to serve families in some kind of pastoral role for over 35 years. And it's been a great journey. And kind of what has been cool that kind of coincided with the birth of Dad Academy was that I also am an athletics coach. So I played small college basketball, played hardball, tournament baseball till I was 50. And so
Oh, wow.
that was kind of my hobby. There's not a lot of hunting and fishing here in Southern California. So still a ball guy. God didn't give me ball sport kids. And so when they got out of the house, I wanted to keep investing into young people. I always said that I was demoted to senior pastor from youth ministry. So I had to, I want to find a way to get involved with young people's lives. And, for many athletes, coach is the second most important person in their life next to dad. And so I wanted to keep influencing the next generation. I've been doing that for 10 years as well. So
What did life look like before ministry officially started for you?
well, that's a hard question. I've never not known ministry. I'm a pastor's kid. And that doesn't always mean I might have been kind of the prototypical, right? A little rebellious, a little out on my own. I was a kid that grew up in the 80s. So, but I first jumped into ministry like at 19 years old, being a youth pastor. And so I've kind of been doing that, like I said, I'm 58 now, so almost 40 years I've been kind of day to day. But let's talk about that for a minute, because I really believe, Terry, that God likes you a lot more than he likes me. He trusts you more than he trusts me, because he's like, man, I can work in Terry's life and use his environment and his choices and his involvement. I can let him be a businessman, and I can still get him to where I need him to be. But Jeff Hamilton is such a wreck that I'm going to need to give him a job where his 24/7 is directed on me, because he's just such a hard nut to crack of trying to make him into his son's image. And so, I've never kind of not known a time where I've had the pleasure and privilege of serving families and serving a community.
Yeah. At what point did you realize you had a call of God on your life, you think?
10, 12, audible kind of Samuel Samuel moment.
Wow.
But the challenge is that when I hit high school, I went to a big high school. Nobody cared that at the time my dad was actually the president of Bible college. Nobody cared that my dad was a president of some small little Bible college while I was attending a 3,000 person high school, excelled in athletics, excelled socially. And like I said, as a kid growing up in the 80s, some of the things that we see in the movies are true. Uh, and those were kind of my experiences. And I mean, I remember really the day that I gave I was in Bible college, my freshman year of Bible college. My dad required us to give 1 year of our lives to discipleship at the Bible college, but I kind of didn't want any part of it. So I was at a fraternity party at USC and had a situation there that kind of changed my trajectory. And as I got up the next morning, I said, "Okay, here's the deal. You got 10 weeks this next quarter. If you'll show me every day that you've been at work in my life, God, I'll serve you whatever you want. Uh, if I don't, I trust you. I'm still going to be a good guy. I'm still going to give. I'm still going to serve, but I'm going to do what I want with my life." And I can tell you, every day from being saved from a car accident, something big like that, to a little alarm clock going off when I had to be at work. And I woke up, I saw my eyes, look at the clock when the alarm was set, brace myself for it to go off. It didn't go off. And the minute that didn't go off, I just felt that witness in my own soul that just said, that was me.
Hmm.
Every day for 10 weeks, something like that happened. And I resigned myself to trying to follow him. And that resignation has turned into a life's passion of really allowing him to try to shape me. It's been a hard job.
Hmm.
My wife will tell you, he hasn't done it quick enough for either of us. So
I hear that. It's a chiseling away, trying to release what's already prepared on the inside.
absolutely.
The whole Michelangelo concept.
Yes, sir.
What do you think, looking back, what could you have done to be better prepared for parenting?
I don't know that I could have done anything better. In fact, I had a great example in my dad. He was pretty present, especially for a man with a lot of responsibilities. He was really involved in my life growing up. He may not have been my little league coach all the time, but there were. I remember my dad being present. I remember my dad doing things for our family, like vacations and creating memories. And um, when I look at what my life was, and even my wife would say, man, we took a lot of good stuff away when we became parents. So I felt I had every advantage, and somehow I still messed it up.
Hmm.
Right? Somehow I still wasn't perfect, and I think a lot of that had to do with not really understanding what my goal was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I used to joke with my wife, Proverbs, it says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it. And for me, I thought the goal was just go, get them out of the house, get them prepared, right? Make them navigate life on their own. And it wasn't until I read a book called Raising a Modern Day Knight as my son was moving towards 12 years old. And I
Hmm.
wanted to do something that helped him understand when he was going from season to season, from stage to stage. And so at that time, I really started reading a lot about whatever I could put my hands on with fatherhood, man issues. I was doing a lot of things in my church related to discipling men. And it began to think about, what is it going to take to disciple my son? And so I
Hmm.
began to mark out a strategy from the next 6 years, from when he turned 12 till the time that he graduated from high school. They even extended to the point where I did my son's bachelor party because I wanted him to know that he was now an equal among all of the men in our family, that he had walked through that
Hmm.
process and that he was no longer a trainee, but that his voice was significant. He has taken responsibility for somebody else's life. God would one day entrust to him a partnership with him to raise children. I wanted him to know that, man, he's in. So from 16 all the way until his wedding day, we had a plan in place, and the same for my daughter. And so Jayme and I just tried to execute those things, and some of it came from watching other people who did some things well, and some of it came from spending my life serving families, many of who didn't do it well, right? And so I put some of those things together, along with my heart for seeing men's lives transformed, and that's kind of what produced Dad Academy in 2015.
Let's go back just for a minute on your parents. What do you think the greatest lessons your parents ever taught you?
Oh, easy.
You mentioned a lot of things that, were great examples, but what sticks out?
Easy. Our family motto. You and I talk about culture a lot. And in our family, a great example is when we were young, like 7, 8 years old. My brother and I are only 18 months apart. So lived in the same room until we were 19 years old. And one year, my dad got us boxing gloves, and for Christmas. And when we would get into it, he would be like, "Go get the gloves." We'd run upstairs all fired up, right? "I'm gonna get you," blah blah blah, and we'd start messing around, and then all of a sudden somebody would get hit, and it hurt. Right now you're mad, and the minute that the first person got mad, right, and we started wailing on each other, he'd grab us by the nape of the neck. He goes, "You only got your brother for the rest of your life. You only have each other." He would say, "Family sticks together. Now hug each other and give each other a kiss." And we would have to do that. And I think understanding these ideas of loyalty and commitment and self-sacrifice and a greater purpose, I think that was one of my brother and I still talk about that today. My sister, she just navigated stage 3 colon cancer, and
Oh, wow.
she has come out on top. She's clear, praise God.
That's awesome.
My brother and I, we stood together in prayer with her, checked in on her all the time. Most powerful, bro, you talk about a family culture. She has 3 adult children who are all married. And from the time they got diagnosed and she started treatment, her adult children and their spouses gathered on the phone every single day, all 8 of them, to pray. And they
Wow.
lived in 3 different time zones. They did that for 9 months. So
That's
this
powerful.
idea of family sticking together, this idea of what your priorities are, because that little motto defined for us kind of our family culture. It's what
Wow.
it's what really we remember when my brother and I spent the last week of my dad's life 3 years ago, caring for him as he passed on to his reward. My brother and I were there. We were taking care of him while my sister and brother-in-law had an obligation. They came home that night. All of us were there as he graduated, and that's what we remember, man.
That's awesome. Give a piece of advice to dads listening to the show today. Maybe they're starting out, or maybe they're a little ways down the road and they're just going through a rough patch with their kids. What kind of words of life?
Hi, we're Isaac and Angie Tolpin from Be Courageous Ministry, and we are the hosts of the top-rated Courageous Parenting Podcast.
We've been married for 25 years, have 9 children, and we're proud grandparents too.
And I'm an entrepreneur all of our marriage and love doing ministry with my wife, but I'm also a pastor of a growing church in Idaho.
Come join us for the Leaving a Faith-Filled Legacy Marriage and Family Conference.
Did you know a mass majority of kids are leaving the church by age 18?
Do you want to defy the odds against you?
We want to encourage you with biblical marriage wisdom needed to lead your family well during these unprecedented times.
So we've distilled down what truly matters for a thriving marriage and equipping your children to stand firm in the faith.
So secure your spot for the Leaving a Faith-Filled Legacy Conference today before it fills up.
See you there.
If would you speak into them today?
I would tell them that this is not the last time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we forget, looking back over our lives, the ups and downs in our journey. Like, my favorite scripture now, having followed Jesus at various degrees, but for the most of my life, Romans 5:3, we rejoice in our tests, in our trials, and our sufferings, because suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance character. You can't have character
Yeah.
shaped in your life without trial. So the number one thing that you need in your life is perseverance. So I would tell a dad who's going through a hard time, stick it out. Do the hard work, which is praying and making sure that you're getting some instructions from the better father than you, that you
Yeah.
continue to put those things into his hands. Because the minute that you get out of this, it's going to start again. Man, we just went through 2020. My daughter lost her college graduation and to COVID. And then we discovered that she had a brain tumor that she had to
Wow.
go under surgery for alone, because nobody could get into the hospitals. And like, that shook all of our world, right? We've done everything right. We don't deserve this. Why is this coming up, right? It really rattled her own faith, along with
Yeah.
just the process. But God did an amazing thing. God's the only one. Maybe this would be the encouragement to these dads. Anybody can make something good and turn it into something bad. Only God can take something bad and turn it into something good.
That's so good. Yeah. So good. So tell the audience a little bit about Dad Academy. We've kind of referred to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Explain to us what that is. What kind of resource?
Well, Dad Academy, I really think that men, going back to dads who are struggling and not knowing what to do, I think most men feel more successful when they know what is expected of them and have a plan to accomplish it. Terry, what do you do in your life without a plan? You go to the gym, you have a plan. You have a business, you have a plan. You go to you have a financial goal, you have a plan. You go on vacation, you have a plan. And we don't parent with a plan?
Yeah.
To me,
So good.
that is kind of crazy. So my background in business, right? My background in organizational and strategic leadership, those are my advanced degrees. I really think that helping a man understand what his purpose is, a mission, the mission of a dad is to pass on his values and his skills to his children so that they would be prepared for life. And so Dad Academy comes alongside of a man to help them be able to do it. It's a 7-session online video curriculum that's really meant to be done in a group, like a small group. Because then what happens is the discussions among men that begin to take place about their struggles, about their victories, they become a learning community with each other. And all Dad Academy does was help to facilitate those discussions. And as you walk through those 7 sessions, there's a little bit of homework that takes 10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes every week to be able to, at the end, literally have a business plan for being a dad. And that plan is something that every year that you can review, because your kids are going to go through new stages and new situations. They're going to need new skills. They're going to need new training. They're going to need new opportunities, new responsibilities. And it gives you some rails to run on so that you have a goal in sight and the ability to be able to reach it by being intentional about shaping courage and competence and confidence in the life of your kids.
That is so needed, so practical. That's awesome. Where did the inspiration for that course come from?
Well, like you, again, I've already told you, if Man Up listeners are not listening to the Culture Ear podcast, I would encourage you to take a listen to that, because I was doing some consulting for like churches and for businesses, and they were hitting these kind of walls, these kind of plateaus. And um, my bias is that a healthy culture will produce the right things, right? Think about any plant that is put into the ground, the soil around it, the environment around it, the way that it's cared for and nurtured. That's culture, and that's what allows it to grow and to produce what it's intended to produce. So if that life is already inside of our children, we needed to have some kind of strategy around it. And I had been working with, Jayme and I speak at a lot of marriage events. I love discipling men of all ages. As you know, I'm an athletics coach, so I still have a lot of young men and men who have graduated now who are Division I athletes, who are professional athletes, and just kind of coaching them up. And what I just found was that so many guys just were ill prepared, and at the time I had a lot of dads in my life that were asking me questions, so I took the same formula and strategy that I would use to help coach businesses and put it into a format that allowed them to um, have a structure to create this kind of plan. And then in 2020, so that started in 2015, but it was dependent upon me, walking them through the sessions. I'd speak at a church retreat or a men's event, and we'd walk through these 7 sessions. But when COVID hit and all ministry leaders became television producers, right? Because for 6 months we couldn't really gather together. A couple things came to pass, and we put Dad Academy online, both the workbook and the video courses, and tried to get it out to as many churches and groups as possible, as kind of a small group curriculum that would encourage and equip dads.
Man, I love that, because I think it's the old principle of find a need and meet it, find a hurt and heal it. And that's exactly what you did. There was a need, you just met it. Excuse me.
It's okay, man.
I think so many times we overcomplicate how God can use us when we just really need to open our eyes and look around.
Yep.
Man, I apologize today.
Oh, you're good. Well, it's kind of like
Lots of editing.
It's kind of like the Man Up Adventure Camp, right? Like, the need isn't for guys to go camping. The need is to get the guys out of their everyday environment, to create some opportunities for the guard that most men raise in their life to drop, so that they would be receptive to a message of hope and purpose that really comes from God, which is so important. I don't think a lot of people really understand the struggle of manhood today. In Orange County, the number 2 killer of men, next to heart disease, of men between 40 and 65 here in Southern California. Housewives of Orange County, right? Laguna Beach, all that kind of stuff. Number 2 killer is suicide. And I think it happens because of divorce, and the demands of our culture here, right? The pressure to succeed, blah, blah, blah. Men get disconnected from their purpose of partnering with God in raising and growing a family, nurturing their wives, of raising their children. They're disconnected from their purpose, and so they've lost a sense of worth and identity, and life has become, just like it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, it's meaningless. All my pursuits are meaningless. And so the passion for Dad Academy is, I want men to live intentionally with a sense of mission, with a sense of purpose, that they know that they are accomplishing something and making a difference, the difference that God has designed them to make.
That is so spot on. It was the same thing when we started the Man Up Adventure Camp. We've seen a need, and really all we do is create space. We create an environment and space for God to do what he's going to do. Just like what you said, it's really not about camping. I mean, this is the only time of year that I will camp, probably.
Dad Academy.
So it's not like I'm in.
Yeah. Dad Academy is just an excuse to get men together in a room, because left on our own, we won't do that.
Yeah.
I'll go play pickup basketball every single week, but I won't sit and talk with a group of guys about the most important thing in my life. Come on, bro.
Yep.
It's time for us to
Yeah.
kind of grow up and understand a little bit about what's important. And if we can start to affirm men about their fatherhood, right? I mean, guys, we're junkies for affirmation, right? Look at because if we're not successful at work, quote unquote, right? Then look at the tires on my truck. I got the big old rims, look at my new bass boat, look at my vacation pictures. Man, what if a guy was able to say, look at my wife, how happy and content she is. Look at my children pursuing their life with some confidence. Like, those should be the marks of success. Those are the legacy things, right? So we got to get guys connected around what really ultimately is the most important thing that they do in their lives.
For sure. Wow, we're gonna have to land this plane. We're gonna run out of time. We may have to do a part 2 somewhere in the future, but
Oh, I would love it.
tell the audience. Yeah, this would be fun. I ask every guest on the show this, but tell me, what does it mean to you to man up? How would you answer that?
Understand your mission and begin to pursue your purpose. You don't have to be perfect.
So good.
You don't have to be perfect, but you need to be clear on what it is, where you're headed. You need to be clear on what you're supposed to be doing. And you need to be able to hold yourself accountable to measuring those things as you begin to pursue them, because life can be full of distractions, especially for a man. And in the challenges that we face today, we got so many men that are medicating their issues with all types of different things, whether it's, not just alcohol or drugs, but pornography. Some of us are medicating with success in our bank accounts, with work, with still trying to pursue someone's approval and some kind of recognition. Remember Jesus' baptism, right? And as he's baptized, there was a voice from heaven that says, two things. This is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Terry, let me ask you, what had Jesus done to that point? His ministry doesn't start
nothing.
until after that. And I think if guys would understand that they come from a place where God is already pleased with them, that they're not trying to earn his affection or earn his approval, but that we would live that way, then the whole metric of our life, our whole motivation for life and what we measure is going to be different.
Yeah, there's definitely a whole show there. We're so performance driven that I think we have a hard time bringing that into our relationship with God and thinking that we have to earn this all the time. And so guys up when he's doing well, and you can't find him when he's not. Because he thinks that relationship is so.
The world system is perform for love. Your worth is based in what you produce. The kingdom of God is that you perform from love. Because you are, because you know that you are loved, you have a resource from which to be able to give life to others.
Yeah, very well said. Tell the audience how Jeff wants to be remembered when his life here on earth is over. What kind of mark do you want to leave that can't be erased?
Man, I have chased success like any man in my life. I thought success was having a huge church and on the speaking circuit and like whatever it looks like in my world. And none of those things have come to pass. But what has come to pass is I have a son and daughter-in-law. I have a daughter who loves me. I have a wife who has been committed to the process of allowing God to work in me to help me become the man that he desires for me to be. And one day, nobody's going to remember me except for the people he has immediately entrusted to my care. So I only have to serve them well. I hope that there's some other people who realized that I brought value to their life, just like Jake Miranda, my 7th grade small group leader, did in mine, who taught me how to surf. Just like Jim Rhodes did, my high school young life leader, who gave me my first job. Just like Dr. Larry Powers did, who was a Bible college professor who just took an interest in me, like John Mazariegos did, who was kind of my first grown-up friend, like big brother, a couple years older than me. Those guys are remembered by me because of the impact that they made in their lives. And I hope that that's true of people and young men, women that I've invested into. But that's up to God. Man, I just want to love my family well. That's all I want to do.
Well, I'm sure you've impacted a ton of people all along the way. Listen, thanks for joining us on the show today. Man, it's been a real pleasure just to get to know you a little bit better. I look forward to continuing this conversation and this relationship. Hopefully we'll get to see you maybe at Man Up Camp this year. That would be kind of cool.
I'll start looking at the dates, and maybe some of the Man Up listeners would be glad to visit dadacademy.info to check out what's happening there. That's same on our socials. Facebook is Dad Academy. Instagram is dad.academy. And just be praying for us. We have a new resource that will be released sometime after Easter with a push towards Father's Day, that the Dad Academy curriculum is being turned into a book. And excited about what new opportunities and the number of men that new tool may reach.
That's awesome. Yes, I was going to ask for all that. So Man Up Nation, please write that down, pay attention, go back, rewind that, get that information. Those are resources that can help you navigate just right where you're at in life. And I think, whether you're an up-and-coming dad, whether you're currently a dad, or maybe you're a grandfather, either one, there's principles in that information that's just going to help you be better and pass on legacy. Guys, remember, legacy is not what we leave to people. It's really what we leave in them. We'll see you next time on the Man Up Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Man Up Podcast. For more resources on your journey to becoming a better man, check out manupadventurecamp.com. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for our daily newsletter for encouragement and tips. If you haven't attended Man Up Adventure Camp yet, it's your time. Sign up now for Man Up 2025. We'll see you around the fire.